The man standing in the gladiator arena was never supposed to become a threat to Rome. He was a slave, forced to fight for entertainment inside a brutal training school in southern Italy. Crowds expected him to die under the hot Mediterranean sun, while wealthy Romans cheered from stone seats above. But in 73 BC, that gladiator escaped. Within months, thousands of armed rebels followed him. Within a year, Rome itself was panicking. His name was Spartacus. At the time, the Roman Republic dominated the Mediterranean world. Roman armies crushed kingdoms, conquered territories, and flooded Italy with enormous wealth. But victory created a dangerous system underneath the empire's success. Hundreds of thousands of enslaved people were forced to work in mines, farms, construction projects, and private households across Italy. Gladiators occupied the very bottom of that world. They were trained fighters, valuable as entertainment, but disposable as human beings. Spartacus likely came from Thrace, a region in southeastern Europe known for producing fierce warriors. Ancient sources disagree on exactly how he became enslaved. Some claim he once served as a soldier before being captured by Rome. Others describe him simply as a prisoner sold into gladiator training. Either way, by the early 70s BC, Spartacus had been sent to a gladiator school in Capua, where men trained daily with swords, shields, and spears, while guards watched constantly. Life inside the school was brutal. Gladiators lived under heavy discipline, isolated behind walls and forced to prepare for violent public spectacles. But unlike ordinary slaves, these men knew how to fight, and eventually they decided they would rather die escaping than continue dying for Roman entertainment. According to ancient accounts, around 70 gladiators launched the breakout. Their original plan may have been discovered early, forcing them to improvise using kitchen knives and cooking tools before seizing real weapons. They fought their way out of the school and fled toward Mount Vesuvius, the massive volcano overlooking the Bay of Naples. At first, Rome barely took them seriously. Slave uprisings happened occasionally, and Roman authorities assumed this would be another small rebellion crushed quickly by local forces. Militias were sent to contain the escaped gladiators, but Spartacus and his fighters destroyed them. Then more slaves joined. Farm workers abandoned plantations. Shepherds fled the countryside. Rural laborers carrying stolen tools and weapons poured into the rebel camp. The revolt was growing into an army. Inside the camps around Vesuvius, the rebellion became surprisingly organized. Spartacus was not leading a chaotic mob. He trained fighters, divided supplies, and used Roman equipment captured in battle. Some rebels forged weapons from stolen metal, while others stripped armor from defeated soldiers. The movement expanded so quickly that Roman officials suddenly realized thousands of armed slaves were now roaming southern Italy. Then came the ambush that humiliated Rome. Roman forces trapped Spartacus and his followers on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, believing the rebels had nowhere to escape. Steep cliffs blocked the mountain's side, and Roman troops guarded the main paths below. But Spartacus found another route. His men climbed down the cliffs using ropes woven from vines, circled behind the Roman camp, and attacked unexpectedly from the rear. The Roman force collapsed in panic. Suddenly, this was no longer a minor rebellion. Rome had been outmaneuvered by escaped gladiators. Over the next 2 years, Spartacus repeatedly defeated Roman armies sent against him. Some commanders underestimated the rebels, others lacked experience, but Spartacus himself proved shockingly capable. His fighters moved quickly, struck vulnerable targets, and avoided direct destruction. Entire Roman units were scattered, supplies were captured, wealthy villas across the countryside were raided as fear spread through Italy. At its peak, the rebellion may have grown to more than 70,000 people. That terrified the Roman elite. Roads became dangerous. Landowners feared attacks on estates. Rumors spread constantly about where Spartacus would march next. Some Romans believed the rebels planned to attack the city itself. Others feared enslaved populations across Italy might rise simultaneously. The republic that conquered foreign kingdoms was now struggling to contain former slaves inside its own territory. And yet Spartacus may never have wanted to destroy Rome. Ancient historians suggest he originally hoped to escape Italy entirely. At one point, the rebel army moved north toward the Alps, potentially seeking freedom beyond Roman territory. But the movement fractured. Some rebels wanted revenge and continued raiding wealthy Roman lands. Others preferred staying in Italy, where food and plunder remained available. The massive army became harder to control. Rome responded by giving command to one of its richest and most ruthless men, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus understood the danger immediately. Unlike earlier commanders, he restored brutal military discipline inside Roman ranks. After one failed engagement, he reportedly revived the ancient punishment of decimation, where groups of soldiers were executed by their own comrades as punishment for cowardice. Fear returned to the Roman army. Then Crassus built walls. To trap Spartacus in southern Italy, Roman forces constructed enormous defensive fortifications stretching across the peninsula. Trenches, barriers, and walls cut off escape routes while starving the rebels of supplies. Spartacus managed to break through temporarily during winter storms, but the rebellion was weakening. Internal divisions spread, Roman pressure intensified. The final battles became desperate. By 71 BC, Spartacus understood the rebellion was collapsing. Roman armies closed in from multiple directions, while additional reinforcements returned from foreign campaigns. Ancient accounts claim Spartacus killed his own horse before the last battle, declaring he would either win another horse from the enemy or die where he stood. Then the fighting began. The battlefield descended into chaos as thousands of rebels clashed against disciplined Roman legions. Spartacus reportedly fought near the front lines, trying to reach Crassus directly through the violence. But Roman formations held. Rebel forces were surrounded and cut apart piece by piece. Spartacus disappeared during the battle. His body was never conclusively identified, but Rome made sure the survivors became a warning. After the rebellion collapsed, thousands of captured rebels were crucified along the Appian Way, the massive road connecting southern Italy to Rome. For miles, crosses lined the roadside, displaying broken bodies to every traveler entering the capital. It was a message from the Republic. This is what happens to those who challenge Roman power. And yet the story of Spartacus survived. To Rome's elite, he was a dangerous criminal who threatened social order. But to countless others throughout history, Spartacus became something far larger, a symbol of resistance against impossible power. He began as a nameless slave, forced to fight for entertainment. Then he built an army that made the greatest republic in the Mediterranean fear its own people.